So I'm making this video today to talk about how I met my husband. So my son ever wants to know or pass along to his children, this video will always be proof of how mom and dad met.
He knows how we met.
No, he doesn't. He knows that we met, but I mean, we don't really talk about it extensively.
There's nothing really to talk about.
So then why are we making a video then if there's nothing to talk about?
You wanted to make a video.
No, because you kept saying that we would make an interesting reality show. So we're making videos just to see and test the waters if that's true.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to tell a little bit of what I remember.
You want like the whole story?
Yeah, the whole story. Okay, so this is what I remember. We met, it was January 8th, okay, of 1993. No, the accident was on the 5th, and that I remember it was before school started. So that's what happened. January 5th was when I had the car accident, and so I always celebrate the anniversary of me waking up from the 3-day coma. So I met him in class at Cleveland State University. It was January 8th, winter quarter or semester? Was it a quarter? Okay, winter quarter. I was taking biology, and we were in, what is that classroom style called? Amphitheater seating. And so I had to sit down in front, obviously. There were no chairs I could pull up into. And so I had backed up against the seats, and you came in, and I just remember thinking, I just followed you as you walked in with you had on all black. And you went over and sat on the opposite side of me. And when I turned around and looked at the couple of young ladies that were behind me, they were looking the same too. But one of them, I think she was separated, and one of them was single, and the other two were just like, nice.
See, I didn't even know it was 4.
Yeah, it was 4.
You didn't tell me it was 4.
Yeah, it was 2 younger girls, and then one that was separated was older, about around my age, and then the other one who said she was Muslim. I don't really know. I just remember her name was Stephanie. She said she was Muslim. So we kept having conversations about you, but I was the one that rolled over to you and introduced myself.
You introduced yourself to me after class.
See, we always remember this differently. I remember when you came in.
You didn't come over. You couldn't have come over there because I wasn't in the front row.
Yes, you were. The very first day, yes, you were. You sat down because that's how I remember it. And the next time you came to class and sat over in the same place, I rolled over to you and introduced myself. And I started talking to you, and then you said to me, class is about to start, you should get back to your seat. And I thought, nice looking guy, but mean. I thought, okay.
It had nothing to do with women at the time.
Right. So I thought he was mean. So I went back over to my seat, and I thought, and they said, so what happened? I said, he told me that class is getting ready to start. I should go back to my seat. And they're like, oh. And they're like, well, maybe he's older. He doesn't look like he's 18 or 20, so maybe he's an older student. I thought, oh, maybe that's it. He's an older guy or whatever. And then I think the next time class happened, you kept, by third class, you came and sat next to me.
I sat behind you.
Or sat behind me. And we started talking, and you said the same thing. The professor's starting to talk, you need to turn around and pay attention.
No, because you were talking, and you wanted a conversation, and the lecture started, and I was like, hey, he's talking.
I know. So I thought, oh, God, every time I say something to this guy, he tells me either class is getting ready to start or the professor's talking. So
I was all business.
Right, you were all business.
I was there for education. I wasn't there to play.
Oh, well, okay. Anyway, I just thought he was really handsome, so I just kept trying to have conversations with him. And I asked him questions about his name and his faith and just everything until he told me what I just said was the press was getting ready to talk. Shh. I was so embarrassed. And so the next time I saw him in class, it was after class. I didn't say anything to him because I was really afraid he would say to me, turn around, that the teacher's getting ready to talk. So when I saw him after class, we were out of class, and I asked him if we could get something to eat.
No, not the first time. first couple of times, at least one time, you just rolled by and waved, like, hi, because remember, like, some days that was your last class and Jack would be there to pick you up, your ride would be there to pick you up.
Well, this is the one that it was important to me. That's why I remember it.
But you wave by, hi, go ahead, do a little hi. You still do it.
No, hi.
See, like that.
So anyway, this is the one that was really important to me that I remember. I remember asking if we could get something to eat. And what did you say?
No, actually, I was going. You asked me where I was going. And I said I was going to get a snack. So
all I remember was what I said.
I
just remember.
You're right. Can I come?
And I remember if we can get something to eat, and you were like, "Well, I wasn't really going to get anything to eat because you showed me what you had, or you did what you just told me that you were going to get a snack." And I was like, "Okay, can I come?" And he's sure. So you walked with me over there and bought me a bag. Well, let me keep it. I mean, that was my memory. It was romantic to me.
Okay, fine.
And then we went and got a snack.
That's close enough. What's the difference?
But it just seemed more romantic to me and fun, and you were, I don't know, very gentlemanly and romantic. And he took me to get something to eat. Well, I remember being hungry. If you hadn't bought me anything to eat, I wouldn't have had anything to eat till dinner time. So that was romantic for me.
In the middle of getting separated, in the middle of the separation, and you should tell them the story about how we started studying together, because I didn't.
Right. Well, and because he was separated was why we stayed friends for a really long time. I mean, just friends. And then I found out I was on academic probation, warning, or something like that. Something to do with academic.
It wasn't. You weren't in big trouble.
I was in big trouble, but it was a warning. So I didn't really know what to do because I'd never been on a warning before or had any problem with my grades ever. I was scared. I was scared to death. I mean, mind you, now I'm in my 40s now, but back then I was 23. I mean, everything scared me. For all I knew, they were going to call my parents. Ugh, I don't know. But anyway, so I went to the what was that, tutoring center or whatever, and asked about tutoring. They were like, "Oh, pretty much anybody can tutor. You could just ask anybody." And because they didn't have any tutors in the center.
They have a tutoring center. If you didn't. I
don't know, because they had so many people that needed tutors. There was like a waiting list, and I said, "No, I need somebody now." So they suggested, this is what they suggested to me, to pick out the smartest person he thought I saw in the class and ask that person to tutor me. So that was my thing, and I couldn't think, okay, who's...
Because we had a midterm, we had a test by then, didn't we?
We had a test by then, and I didn't do so good.
No, I think nobody did any good, because I remember...
Except for you?
Yeah, because I threw off the curve. They were like, one person got in the 90s.
Right.
And everybody else's grade was like 70s.
Right. I was in like the lower 70s.
Well, still, you were right with everybody else. The curve would have gave you a B anyway.
It wasn't, whatever, curve, whatever. So anyway, when I heard that...
I don't trust the curve. I don't rely on it.
I heard that he got a 90% when everybody else was in 93. Anyway, the point is, it fell in line with what the gentleman told me. He said to find the smartest person in the class. So I thought, it's him. Okay, so I didn't want to ask him for his phone number. So I went and looked somewhere. It was in the phone book. I found Akbar Bakery.
I had an advantage because it was what? Reproductive biology?
I don't remember.
I had 3 kids, so
and I had one and was already divorced by the time we met. So I found Akbar Bakery, which was a family business. And you don't remember that? Yeah, that's how I found it. I found Akbar Bakery in the phone book. I called and spoke to the proprietor of Akbar Bakery, and he said something along the lines, I forget, he told me you had some schedule and you were doing something, but here's his number at home. So then I thought, oh God, I'm going to call and the wife's going to think, I'm doing something I got no business doing.
You didn't even know I was married.
No, your dad told me. Your dad told me that either him or his wife should be at home.
And you called anyway.
I was on academic warning for biology. I was scared. I told you I was scared. So I called anyway. I called and I explained my situation to Kathy. I told her
You
that.
talked to Kathy first. So you talked to my dad and Kathy before
Right.
you ever talked to me.
Before I talked to you.
I mean, I know she took a message, right?
Right. I talked to her and I told her that I was on academic warning, and I told her
I had a call. Somebody called one.
I told her the whole story because I didn't want her to think that I was trying to talk to her husband. So I told. Yes, I did.
No, I'm saying she didn't care.
Oh, she didn't care, but I did.
She's like, "Yay, get him out my house."
Whatever. So I told her what was going on, and she said, "Well, I'm really busy right now. I'm getting ready to leave to go pick him up from somewhere. I will give him the message." So I didn't hear from him that day. It was several days later when you called me and said, "What did you say to me?"
No,
when I first asked,
I study alone. I don't study with other people because you were first asking, could we study together? And I don't like.
Right, and he says,
"No, study with anybody.
I don't need to study with anybody. I study alone." On the other end of the phone, all I could do was choke back the tears. I thought, for sure, I'm going to fail my first clach. I was terrified.
You started to cry.
Oh my God, I got choked up. I didn't cry.
Well, you were like, "Well, I need somebody to study with because I can't get." You had to get at least a B or something. I have to get at least a B out of this class.
Well, yeah, I had a partial scholarship, and I was getting what do you call it? Financial aid.
And I still said no.
And he still said no. This is not as wonderful a story as you thought it was going to be, is it? I guess I romanticized a lot of it, but it seemed romantic to me. But I mean, after you go through having your life change, going from walking to not walking, and you meet someone who really treats you with kindness, or at least maybe it was a dream. Maybe I dreamt you. It's really nice.
No, I didn't. Part of it was that I didn't treat you like you were in a wheelchair. I was like, "So, you're a girl. I mean, come on.
Get away from me. Girls are yucky."
Yeah. I didn't want anything to do. I was going through a separation and didn't want anything to do with the relationship right at that moment.
So he tutored me, and I passed the class.
Yeah, but you didn't say why I tutored you.
I don't remember why you tutored me.
Because my ex-wife, Kathy, told me I should study with you. They would give me some place to get out of the house besides just working and coming home. Like I said, she wanted to get me out of the house.
We're not making this story sound very wonderful. I'm sorry.
And that's why I asked you about. I said, "Do you want the whole truth, or you?" I could have just sat here and let you tell the nice little cutesy story.
Well, he did end up tutoring me, and I did end up passing the class with a very high B. I was happy because I had A's in everything else except for biology. I was just, I don't know.
It's reproductive biology.
But he tutored me, and I mean, he told me little mnemonic tricks to help me to pass the class and to remember things, because that was my thing. I would just read, and then, oh my God, and just couldn't remember enough to put the information back.
A lot of it you had, a lot of the situation I remember, because I later went on to tutor and remember having tutor for pay. You had study anxiety. You would know the stuff. You didn't struggle understanding anything. You didn't struggle with the concepts. You just freeze up when it came time to answer questions. Like, "Oh my God, what was that? Oh my God, I don't remember." You didn't struggle. It wasn't because you weren't bright or the concepts were too tough. You knew it when we talked about it, but as soon as somebody said, "Okay, quiz you on it," you'd start to freeze up. So a big part of what we did was had to just get you to relax and just take the test and give the answers that you knew. Do you remember what I told you about test day or the 24 hours before the test?
To relax and not to read anymore.
Not to stay up late studying. This is just a little quick tutorial on how to study. I know it's supposed to be romantic, but it just bugs me.
Yeah,
people don't do just little stuff. Go to bed, close the book, late night studying, all you do is tend to confuse facts that you already know. So you close the book, go to bed, get a good night's sleep, get up the next day. What did I tell you to do the next day before you go to school?
I don't remember.
You don't remember when I said, "Dress up nice."
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm going to change the title of this video from, "Oh, how we met and how romantic it was," to "He tutored me." Yeah, that's
That
the
was
title.
the gist of it. Okay, then what happened? After I tutored you, you gotta be what? I didn't want nothing else to do with you?
No, we hung out. We went places and did things. And then...
You gonna tell them about calling my wife?
No, I hadn't planned on telling them about calling your wife.
Well, I asked if you wanted the whole story or not. If they wanted the whole story or not.
That's
You
basically
can get
how.
like the Reader's Digest version.
I don't even know what the Reader's Digest version is because we were friends for a long time and dated and then broke up.
Because I was hanging out late at your house one night. And you were like, you can stay here. And I was like, no, I can't. I want to go home. And he was like, but the couch rolls out into a bed. You don't have to sleep on the couch. You got a couch that rolled out into like a futon.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you can sleep there. And I was like, no, I want to go home. So you started thinking, oh, you must not be getting separated from your wife. Tell the truth. Your wife thinks you're over here studying. Which I was, or not by that time. We were hanging out having dinner or whatever. She was like, you're like, I forget what you said exactly, but you thought all of a sudden that the whole thing about me getting separated from my wife and we just hadn't moved out from each other. I'll have to tell you guys the story about me and my ex getting separated another time, because that's not part of this romantic story, but it was a long story.
Romantic shock.
And she didn't believe that I really was getting separated from my wife. She thought that was just a story I gave so I could go and do whatever I wanted, which I wasn't, because I wasn't doing anything with her, so why did she think I needed a story to cover up what I wasn't doing? So then what did I tell him? Oh, so then she called. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And you're like, I'm going to call her. I'm like, go ahead. I will. You better tell me the truth now. I'm going to call her. And I said, look, go ahead and call her so you can cut this nonsense out right now. And sure enough, she called my ex-wife, and my ex-wife was like, sure, yeah, it's over between us, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, you asked why were we getting divorced? Because he says he never cheated on me. And she's
that was hard to believe. It was hard to believe people get divorced without cheating.
Right.
I mean, because every parent that I had lived with was divorced because somebody cheated.
And so, I actually got a recommendation from my ex-wife for her to say it's okay for the boy to date me.
Yeah. So, and then we had cooling off periods, and we were friends for a while. And then Malik came.
Oh, and he was...
Yeah, so that'll be the next video.
I was going to say, that'll
be a completely new video
story
in of itself, because this is already way longer than I had ever intended.
Okay.
All right, so that's how we met. He tutored me, and he's really smart. And that was the gist of it. And he was married, and I was the aggressor, and that's how we met. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.